Thank you for serving as a judge of an Enactus National Challenge. These competitions are supported by partner companies and focus on one specific area of a team's programming, like financial education, youth empowerment, environmental sustainability, or entrepreneurship. During this video, we'll review the presentation structure, judging criterion, and tools to prepare you for your role as a judge. You will receive training specific to the competition you're judging once you're in your competition room. Let's begin with the presentation structure. Each competition room is called a league and will have a league coordinator who will manage your room and the flow of the day. Each team has an 11-minute time block to present. First, they have 3 minutes to distribute their written report and set up their equipment. To encourage consistency, teams are required to use a standardized report template. Your league coordinator will ensure that all reports adhere to the rules. The team cannot begin their presentation before the 3 minutes has expired. Please use this time to read their written report and familiarize yourself with their project. The team then has up to 5 minutes for their presentation. Teams are not required to use the full 5 minutes, as any unused presentation time is rolled over into the question and answer period. Your league coordinator will monitor the time and cut the team off if they go over. The formal presentation is followed by a 3-minute question and answer period, where you have the opportunity to ask questions. Please do not make lengthy statements or praise the team. Time is limited, so please focus on asking concise questions directly related to the projects presented. Please note, you may be judging some French-speaking teams today, who will be stepping outside their comfort zone to present to you in English. They were given the option to leverage the services of an interpreter for the question and answer period, in which case the time would be doubled to allow for the duplication of questions and answers in both languages. A final note, teams may not distribute materials to the judges aside from their written report. If a team displays products or samples during their presentation, judges are not permitted to touch or keep these materials. If you would like a sample, you can make a request of the team at the end of the day, after the competition results have been announced. We will now review the judging criterion and tools. Please turn to page 5 of your judge handbook. It's a green page. This is the individual team evaluation sheet, which outlines the judging criterion and elements. For each element, you will evaluate the team on a scale from excellent to insufficient. As each team presents, please use this evaluation form to take notes and mark down your assessments for each element. Let's review the first section of the criterion, seeing opportunity, where you are asked to evaluate the team's effectiveness in conducting a thorough needs assessment with the target audience. The focus here is whether the team fully understands the problem they're trying to solve. Teams should communicate what specific steps they took in their needs assessment, what they learned, and how they used that information when designing the project. Now for the taking action section. While the rest of the judging criterion is the same for all challenges, the taking action element is different as it speaks to the type of intervention that the team took. You'll receive more training specific to this element once you're in your competition room. Now let's move on to enabling progress, which has 3 elements. First, you will evaluate the team's effectiveness in empowering people. For this, you might think of the proverb, "Give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime." Teams should demonstrate that their audience moved from dependency to self-sufficiency, that even without further help from the team, the target audience is equipped to use their knowledge or skills in a meaningful way. Next, you will evaluate how well the team measured and reported outcomes. Outcomes refer to the benefits or changes for individuals after participating in the project. It's what participants now know, can do, or behave thanks to the project, or how their condition has changed. It is important to distinguish between outputs and outcomes. For example, while it may be impressive that a team ran 20 sessions with 100 individuals, that in and of itself is merely an output. What you should focus on is outcomes, how those workshops impacted the 100 participants. It is also important to evaluate if the team is measuring relevant outcomes. Do the results reported actually address the issue originally outlined and relate to the focus of the challenge you are judging? Because the reports teams distribute are standardized, you may notice metrics listed where the team has no results. Do not penalize teams for this. We listed standardized metrics to help ensure teams were reporting on comparable information. The last element asks if the team carried out their activities in an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable way. For a project or initiative to be truly effective and sustainable, it must make sense economically, socially, and environmentally. Teams should demonstrate that they considered all three factors and that no negative impact occurred in any of these areas. There's also space provided to give the team general feedback on their project or presentation. We encourage you to provide as much feedback as possible, as teams will receive these at the completion of the competition and use your feedback to refine their programs. A few additional points to keep in mind. Some teams will have projects with multiple phases that might take place over multiple years. It's important to evaluate teams solely on the results from the current academic year, not on past achievements. You may also encounter projects that are still in the planning phase. Please provide constructive feedback on those projects, but remember that you're evaluating impact, not ideas, plans, or projections. You should evaluate projects that have meaningful impact significantly higher than those whose impact has yet to materialize. Teams may choose to partner with external organizations. If they do so, the team must clearly define the relationship they had and clarify what their role and contribution was, as well as the degree of impact they can take credit for, and they should be evaluated accordingly. Some projects, for various reasons, are set up as businesses owned by individual students. For transparency, teams are required to disclose the ownership structure of the project if it is not owned by the team. Now let's discuss the scoring process. For this, you will use the cumulative evaluation form, which is the yellow sheet at the back of your handbook. Before the first team presents in your league, please write the names of the teams at the top in the order in which they'll present. After each team presents, you'll transfer your scores from the individual team evaluation form to the cumulative evaluation form. Here's an example using Team ABC. If you believe they deserve a score of excellent for conducting a thorough needs assessment with the target audience, then you would enter an E in the relevant box on the cumulative evaluation form for Team ABC. This form will serve as your guide for ranking the teams at the conclusion of the competition day. After the final presentation, you will finish completing the form and use this information to give each team a ranking, with 1 being your first choice. The scoring in each area should be used as a guide for informing your final rankings, which are used to determine the results of each league. It is essential that each team receive a different ranking. No ties are allowed. It is very important that judges, league coordinators, and Enactus staff members do not discuss the results before or during the voting process. The ranking of teams is an individual decision. Once all judges have completed their rankings, your league coordinator will guide you through the tallying process. All judges are required to remain in the room until everyone has finalized their rankings and the tallying of results is complete and verified. Please note that the results from the league must remain confidential until they are announced at the awards ceremony following the competition. We hope you are now feeling comfortable in your role as a judge. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.